Alright everyone, Nick Berlin with Berlin Builds. Today I'm going to show you how to cut down a hollow core door and how to fill in the piece. This is part of a double door. We've already cut down one door and now we're going to cut down this next one and we're going to walk you through the different steps. So you need to figure out how tall you need your door to be, and that's going to vary situation by situation. We want about a ½ inch of clearance from the bottom of the door to the top of that carpet, so that way the door swings nice and easy, but it doesn't have too much of a space. We're going to get like a bunch of sound and different things traveling through. So in this case, I know I need to come up 3 1/16 from the bottom of the door to where I'm going to be cutting. So what I'll do is I'm going to make my mark at 3 1/16. I'm going to come, I'm going to do the same thing on this side. That is going to be my new bottom of the door. Now, when you're cutting, a lot of times what will happen is the fibers will chip out, and you really don't want that to happen on a finished door like this. So we're going to mask it off with some tape. One thing that you need to be careful of, especially on a double door, is sometimes there's going to be a magnetic little piece right here. So I need to take that off. You can see this is going to be the new bottom of my door, and if I went and cut this, my blade would go right into this magnet, which would be a party and a half, but not a fun party. So we're just going to take that off, and then we'll move on to our next step. Now what we're going to do is we're going to tape along where we're going to be cutting. And what that does is it makes it so that you don't get a lot of tear out on your finished face of your door. This is Frog Tape. It's a brand that I'm not sponsored by currently. So anyone that's from Frog Tape, if you want to come and sponsor my channel, I am totally open to it because I love your product. It's nice and sticky, but not too sticky. And I feel like it's just, this is not a product endorsement video. I'm going to stop talking about it. But I love me some Frog Tape. Not quite as much as I love Dr. Pepper, but I love me some Frog Tape. So what I did is I went about a ¼ inch past the mark with my Frog Tape where I'm going to be cutting, because I want to protect more of the door than I want to be protecting what I'm cutting off. So that's how you do that. Once you get it all down, you want to rub it all nice and tight, because the tape is what's going to help you not get those splinters. One thing that you need to know is on my circular saw, I'm going to be using this plane as my reference. So you need to know the distance from here to the kerf of your blade. What you can do is just take a scrap piece of material and put a straight edge there and run and cut, and then just measure. On this case, this is 1 1/8. So you need to find out what your saw is before you start going to town. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out. I always just mark, just for my own visual reference, where my new bottom of the door is going to be, so at 3 1/16. And then from there, I'm going to go up what you need to do based on your saw. Mine is 1 1/8, so 1 1/8, just add that up right there. And I'm going to do that on both sides. The next thing that you're going to need is a straight edge of some kind. This is a clamping straight edge that I got from Harbor Freight for like all of $10. Love this thing. If you don't have it, you can use a straight piece of wood that you clamp down. You can use your level, just something that is a straight edge that you can clamp down. So what you're going to do is you have your two marks, the new bottom of your door and then your reference mark. You're going to clamp in line with your reference marks like so. And now always double check to make sure that your clamp didn't move when you clamp it down. So we're living in a happy place right here. So your next step is actually cutting down the door. So I'm going to take my circular saw. This is my plane that I'm referencing off of. I'm going to hold it tight to my fence. And a lot of times I'll pull the guard up just so it doesn't get caught in the door. You're going to kind of start to come up to it, make sure you're tight against your fence, and when I start cutting, I'm going to cut slow in order to help reduce the tear out. Another thing that's going to help you a lot is having a good blade and a new blade on your saw. If you try and do this with like a 24 tooth blade, you're going to hate your life. Get a fine tooth blade for your circular saw. A couple different things that you're going to come across at this stage that you need to be aware of. This is not necessarily garbage. You can reuse this filler piece, and I'll show you how to do that. This is what I normally do because I don't have to go get new material. You can also go get new material and make a whole new piece. I've done that before, but my very smart and wise assistant once upon a time said, why don't you just reuse this? And I was like, that is a genius idea. So props to you, Brandon. Now, you don't always have to do this, but you can see some of this cardboard is in my way. So what I'm gonna do is, that's where that went. So I'm gonna take my 5-in-1 tool. You can use like a spatula, you can use a knife, and I'm just gonna start pushing that material a little bit farther back to make it so that there's room for me to put in a new web piece. I like to have my web pieces be at least about 3/4 of an inch to an inch is typically what I look for. Okay, so you can see we've got that pushed back, and we can do a 3/4 of an inch thick piece, and I'll be okay with that. Your next step is to cut this to the proper length. Also, if you have Dr. Pepper, you should probably drink it at this stage because it's an important thing to stay hydrated and happy, because Dr. Pepper literally makes you happier. So make sure you drink some of that. What you can do is you can go and measure exactly what your opening needs to be in its length, or you can just go off the length that they already had. This is part of the side frame. All I'm gonna do is put my saw blade right on the edge of that, and I'll just cut that off. And I'll do that on both sides, and that will be the proper length. All right, now what you're gonna do is rip this to the depth that you need. So on this, we were talking earlier that this is gonna be at 3/4 of an inch. So I'm gonna set my blade, I should say my fence, to 3/4 of an inch. Make sure that your blade is the proper height. You should go about 1/8 of an inch above the material. And now I'm gonna rip this to 3/4 of an inch. So we've got this to 3/4 of an inch, and you can see this is the skin of the door on each side. So typically these doors run about 1 3/8 thick, just shy on this one. So what I normally do is I just take this measurement and I rip this side off, and then I rip this side off. And then you're left just with your filler. Just perfect and hunky-dory. Now you've got a new filler piece. Now we're gonna do a test fit, because if you put glue on this and it doesn't fit, you're gonna be a very angry individual. And it's not always a good thing to be an angry individual. So we're just gonna give this a little test fit. So what I do is I just kind of start to fit it in on one side, and you just kind of walk it down like this. And look, we can tell that's gonna fit. Now here's the thing, don't put it in all the way, because it is really hard to get it out if you put it in all the way. So don't do that. That will also help you not be an angry person. Now, you're gonna take some glue. I like Titebond 3, it's what I like. If you don't like it, that's fine. Go get your own wood glue, but I'm using Titebond 3. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run a bead right on the bottom, like this. And now I'm gonna run another bead on the top of my filler piece. Okay? Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your piece and same thing, you're gonna kind of fit it in on one side, run it tight, and then just start tapping it in. A lot of times I'll use my mallet for this, just because it makes me feel cool that I'm using a mallet. You don't have to use a mallet, but I like to. So, anyways, now we've got that in place. You can see we've got glue everywhere. You're gonna get a few little glue drips. It's okay, keep baby wipes on hand so that way you can clean up the concrete and clean up all the drips. But now I'm using pin nails. Now don't use pin nails that are gonna shoot through your door. That's a bad choice. Use pin nails that are gonna fit. So this is about 1 3/8. So like 1 inch pin nails are perfect for this. I'm using a pin nailer, like I said earlier, but if you don't have a pin nailer, you can use an 18 gauge nailer. You'll just have to putty those holes. With a pin nailer, you don't really have to putty them. You can actually get a good pin nailer at Harbor Freight for about 30 bucks. I love that thing. I actually have a review on that. I'll put a link in the description below, or there might be a little video popping up where you can see my review on that. $30 for pin nailer. It's a pretty awesome little one. Anyways, here we go. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, and I shoot in the pin, every 2 to 3 inches. That might be a little overkill, but here we are, and it works. So you shoot your pins in. So go along the top, and then I'm going to go right along the bottom. Make sure that you don't angle the pins out the bottom. That would really stink, because then you have to fix that. And now you fill that in. As a finish carpenter, I keep baby wipes. I mean, I have a not quite 1-year-old and a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we keep baby wipes, and I have learned of their amazing power and magical abilities. So as a finish carpenter, baby wipes can save you a lot of trouble. Look at that. Glue is just cleaned up off the homeowner's garage floor. No big deal. Baby wipes. That's a finish carpenter life hack right there. So we got that all cleaned up, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the straight edge. And now we're gonna remove the tape. This is like the cool reveal where you just hope and pray that nothing blew out. Oh, here we go. Here comes the reveal. Look at that. Very clean edge. You can see those pin nail holes. When the painter paints, he probably won't even have to sew them in. They'll just get painted right over. That is how you cut off the bottom of a door and how you fix what you just broke. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe to see more videos like this, and go look at all of our other videos. There's a bunch of them, about 50 of them as of right now. So go have fun, watch those, subscribe, like, comment. If you saw me do something stupid, you can comment that below, like, Nick, that was dumb. I do a lot of stupid things, so you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Anyways, have a good day.